Welcome back to Vesping Around. I'm your host, Mauro, and today we're diving into why connected cultures and connecting people make this kind of trip so special. Today's episode is even more special because I'm joined by a guest who experienced a recent trip to Tuscany in the most authentic way possible, on a Vespa with us at Vesping Around. Rob was part of a small group of 20, and he's got some insightful details and, I hope, funny stories to share about what makes Tuscany such an unforgettable destination. All right, Rob, so welcome to the show. So great to have you here.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Now, Tuscany is known for its rolling hills, historic towns, and of course, its incredible food and wine, which I'm sure you have memories of it. But there is something deeper about the way of life there that really captures the soul. From your experience, I was wondering what stood out to you most about the way people welcomed you and interacted with the group?
Well, there's a couple of different answers to that question because obviously there was a group aspect, and then there was the aspect of the locals, right? And I think that both of those were completely different experiences, both positive. But in one, you're with people that are Americans and similar culture to yourself, and then you experience a completely different culture with the Tuscans. But yeah, I mean, what stood out as far as the group itself, how cohesive, how natural, how I think how much rapport and chemistry we all had together. And obviously, I think that that's a product of the group itself and the personalities involved. But I think that it being a kind of like a free writing Vespa tour, free loving Vespa tour, it's everybody's just kind of laid back. So it's a product of the different groups, and the group itself is very very cohesive. And I think that off the bat, I've obviously made new friends on this trip. I had some friends that came along for the trip, and I think we just had a great chemistry. Everybody was really laid back. We're riding on Vespas across the Tuscan hills in the Chianti region. What else do you want, out of life? You know what I mean? It's like you're having wine here, you're tasting great food. It's everybody's really happy. But moving on to the local part, the locals, I honestly felt like I was part of people's families within 5 minutes of meeting them. It was an amazing experience for us specifically. We rode with the Valdesa Club. And we met a few of those members. We met a lot of those members, but the ones that we were really close with, they treated us like family. We were in their clubhouse, and in their clubhouse, they treated us like we were kings, and it was great. So that was one of my favorite experiences. But yes, the group itself obviously welcomed me, which is why my experience was so positive. But the Tuscans themselves, yes, they and all over Tuscany, it wasn't just about us a club. Where every town that we went to and rode into was amazing. Everybody treated us like family. Funny thing is that I don't think I encountered one rude person on the entire trip.
Probably because of the language.
Yeah, probably a language.
Everyone was so nice. They're telling me to go.
And I've been to Italy before, which is I was like, this is a little odd. But maybe I've been to different regions, never that region. And that
Yeah.
very
And maybe, I mean, I might be like off track here, maybe, I don't know. But I can tell you, well, the region does a lot to to this experience. But also, I think like the Vespa lifestyle brings that kind of people that have this like sort of like lost camaraderie,
camaraderie. Yeah, I got you.
that one, whatever Rob is saying, and I think is not like is like refreshing to find.
Yeah.
And then also, of course, like you said, like being on two wheels. Rolling through Tuscany, and maybe with a little of danger, you're on two wheels.
It was an adventure.
It's an adventure, right? So that
Right.
kind of like when adrenaline is up, when you have like a flight and fight kind of like
Yep.
moment, you tend to like help one another and
Right.
kind of like create a stronger
Right. Yes.
bond.
Yeah. Right. And I agree with there was a stronger bond that was created through these adventures that we went through. And everybody was willing to help each other as part of the group. Everybody was there to help whenever somebody needed something. I think at one
Yeah.
specific instance, I think I was writing towards the back of the group, and a couple of the members that were writing on one Vespa behind me, as we were all about to move out, we usually gave ourselves a beep, right? We all beep
Yeah.
saying that we were okay.
We had a little secret language.
Right, right. And that last ride that I remember where this happened, they were turning their engine and it wasn't turning on. So we couldn't, I got off my Vespa immediately. I started like,
That was a
say-
turning point.
yeah, yeah, but
And
yeah,
we were, you're like, for those who were not there, we were in the middle of this beautiful valley.
we were, yeah.
We were like past this
And
like
sun was setting, so the
sun was setting.
background was amazing.
We
the
just
view.
stopped 2 hours in a spot because it was storming, so we had to improvise a little happy hour,
Yep.
which to memory went amazing.
Yes, yes,
It was very welcome, and so we were happily riding back when
Right.
when one of the Vespas stopped.
Right. And then, obviously I stepped in, I was more than happy to step in for them and get everybody's attention because they were still on the Vespa trying to like turn the engine. But once everybody stopped, we were all trying to figure out what was wrong with the Vespa, and some people had more knowledge about Vespas than others. So everybody kind of gave their opinion and, ultimately the Vespa ran into some trouble and then, we picked them up and they rode on the back of some other people's Vespas. So
Yeah, and
no man left behind.
none left behind. So of course we had road assistance as part of
Right.
the trips, but this was like a great example of we don't even need to wait for road assistance.
Right.
We can make it on our own, and
Right,
we
exactly.
just found a solution, and
Yeah, we resolved and we figured it out and we moved forward for
Yep.
the rest of the day. rest of the
Absolutely.
night or whatnot.
And I have to say, as a host, was like sort of refreshing for me because, of course, I felt responsible and, I had to lead and find a solution. I didn't have to. Like, by the time I got to that Vespa that wasn't starting, these guys already found the solution.
That's already back to like the touching on the topic of the laid back kind of Vespa lifestyle.
It is.
Right? There's a reason that Vespas are probably more popular, I would think, in California. Right? Everybody's just kind of more laid back lifestyle in California
Right.
than, let's say, the East Coast. And I think that's a generalization, but
Or Miami,
yeah, or Miami.
I would say, yeah.
But
laid back.
it's part of that kind of like Vespa culture. It's like whatever,
Yes.
we'll figure it out, and we did figure it out. And after that, we had a positive day before that, and then we had a positive night after
Right.
that. So it was, we resolved, we figured it out, and nobody I think ever panicked or anything like that. It was just
Yeah.
kind of pushed through it. Everybody had a great time.
Everyone was happy.
Yeah, everybody was happy.
You remember, like, now that you're talking, like, I do remember you specifically said something that really resonated with me. And then you said, after like a few days we were doing this trip together, you said something on the lines of, every day something happens. But every night when we go home, Rob was traveling with his girlfriend. Every time we close the door in our room and we look at each other, we're like, wow, this happened. And then right after that, it's like, but it was an amazing day.
Right.
Like it turned out to be like an amazing day. Whatever
Right.
happened, it turned to be like an amazing adventure.
Right. What I called them, I think I specifically said bumps in the road. And it was, I think every day was something.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's not going to be perfect, right? Nobody's ever perfect.
Yeah. If you're looking for a cruise trip, this is not it.
Even if you're doing a cruise trip or any kind of trip, it's any trip you take is not going to go perfect. But these things that we went through were not like, oh my God, the trip is over kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was just
Definitely.
things that didn't go necessarily as planned.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And a reminder, we are traveling on a two-wheel vehicle.
Right.
And we are
Right.
exposed.
Which could happen in a car or
Yeah.
whatever.
But we're more exposed to kind of like, the environment.
Right.
Right.
Which is great.
Yeah. Which is awesome.
If you like adventure, if
Yeah.
you like it, which I do, I'm very adventurous. I
Yeah.
have a
It's definitely there is like this trip for you if
Right.
has like a longer list than
Right.
this trip is not good for you
there's
if not.
There's
if
definitely
not,
a little bit of Indiana Jones in my heart, And I think that if you have a little bit of that in your heart, then you'll love.
Yeah, definitely. And there were like, definitely there's like a big adventure part to it.
Yeah.
And then there is kind of like the normal vacation, normal trip part, which is, meeting people, sitting down with people you don't know, and food.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Which we touch upon.
yeah. I mean, for instance, the villa that we stayed in, that was amazing, and that was part of the experience as well. There was a pool. The villa itself was, I don't know, what was it, like 700 years old?
The villa was first built by aristocrats, Italian Tuscan aristocrats, in 1200, and it's been like passing ownership until
Right.
now. It's a hotel. It's a 4-star residence with like this beautiful garden where all the Vespas were parked and lined up.
Yeah, it was great.
Attracted
That was
so much attention.
That
And
was probably, honestly, one of my favorite parts of the
next to the monastery, yeah, it
Right,
was
right
a
across the
really,
street.
really,
Right across the street from the monastery. Yeah.
really like
But you will see nuns.
yeah, you will, and tourists.
And tourists.
But it was definitely like a great solution, a great setup, and it's gonna be again. We're choosing this again for next year adventures.
It had the dining area, had a patio dining
Yeah,
terrace.
beautiful
It was
terrace,
breathtaking
facing
views.
breathtaking view of the valley, even when the weather wasn't perfect.
Yep.
Tell me more about what food, local food, you remember being your favorite.
I mean, I think half the people that go to Italy is for they go for the cuisine, right? They go for the food. What I did love about the trip cuisine, the meals that we had, I don't know if people know this, but the wild boar is very popular in
Yes.
the Tuscan region.
Yes, porchetta.
Yep. And I'm not a big wild boar eater in the States, to be honest with you. I mean, there's we eat pork, right? But not necessarily wild boar. And there was a lot of wild boar. I don't know if there was a lot. Maybe I ordered it a lot, but yeah, wild boar was my favorite. They make like a wild boar ragu, and usually with pasta. But they
A lot of it.
also they
Yeah.
have made it in different ways as well.
Yeah, they make crostini with the with that they make
Well, he was the greatest.
Pasta.
The greatest part about this was when we had what's it called, Chianti tuna, tuna the Chianti. Oh, tuna the Chianti it was called, and I was like, tuna, and I'm like, okay, tuna fish, fine, no big deal. And so
Right.
when I find out that it's actually the tuna of Chianti, and they call it that because it's actually the way that they cook tuna. They cook the pork at the same way,
Right.
the wild boar the same way. So it has the similar flavors. But when
Right.
you're eating it, it's like, wow, this is tuna, but it's not.
Right, it's a tuna style cooked
Yes,
pork.
yes,
Right,
exactly.
and so they call it the tuna of
But
the
again,
Chianti.
back to
Yeah.
specific.
That's amazing.
That was
What-
wild boar was my favorite.
What about the cooking lesson?
The cooking lesson was great. I mean, that whole day was amazing.
Was it an easy ride?
It was an easy
No
ride
problem.
there.
Well, half a problem.
Well, yeah, I think we went up a hill that maybe we
That
weren't
wasn't
so-
meant
yeah,
to.
That we weren't meant to. We just took a wrong turn somewhere.
GPS issues.
Right. We took a wrong turn somewhere, but other than that, we got there, and it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, and one of the most beautiful days I've ever experienced in my life. That was very memorable. The Giuseppina, right? That's her name, Giuseppina.
Giuseppina, yes.
Yeah. So Giuseppina and her children, who are part of the business that they run there, which is an experience business. Although they actually live on the land, I mean, you're drinking the wine that you're on the vineyard, and then everything there is homegrown. It's like 0 kilometer.
Yeah, it's like a farm. It's funny you say 0 kilometers because in Italian they call it chilometro zero, which is 0 kilometers.
Yeah. So you're not going anywhere past the
No,
kilometer.
absolutely. Everything was like farm to table.
Farm to
So
table, yes.
They own like the land around the farm, and we're actually not on their farm. We were like kind of like in this
Right. They have like a.
huge gazebo.
Yes.
Huge gazebo is it takes away from the beauty of it.
It
was
wasn't
like,
a- yeah,
It
it
was
was
a
more
huge
like-
structure.
I would say it was more like.
A farm without walls.
Yeah, it was like imagine you had a really nice apartment overlooking the
Beautiful
the
valley.
vineyard and their land.
Yeah.
And just imagine the apartment set up without any walls. So you have like a
Yeah, absolutely.
and then they have a kitchen, they have a bathroom.
Yeah.
They have amazing table. They have everything was set up
Awesome. Yeah.
really beautifully. And I had that was obviously my favorite experience.
It was probably like the app. It also was kind of like the tail end of the trip, and that's probably also what helped
Right, and then
make you
we
feel like now we're expert drivers. We went
right.
through all of these challenges,
Yep.
right? Rain, fog, name it, and
Yep.
now we're having this like beautiful
And
sunny day.
right, and then the day was amazing.
The
The
day was
sun.
the best day of the
Yeah,
trip. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, yeah, it definitely was the best weather that we had. I mean,
yeah,
weather was great as
that's
well,
amazing.
but here and there was a couple of days that it rained.
Yeah, yeah, but it was.
But that day was my favorite. And then the food there, we had chicken cacciatore, which it was like a
Yeah,
full
you cooked.
class.
We
It was,
cooked a few things, right?
yeah,
Ravioli.
yeah, yeah. There
You
was a
made
lot.
ravioli from
Yes. Oh yeah, I
scratch.
made ravioli. I forgot
Made
about that.
tiramisu from scratch.
Right, right.
You assisted in making the chicken
Yep.
cacciatore, and then we all dined together around a communal table.
Yep.
That
Exactly.
was an amazing. I would say like this is one of my favorite. They also
Yeah.
allow me to relax myself.
Yeah, it was very
Yeah.
relaxing.
So yeah, overall, I would say if there was one takeaway from the trip, what would that be?
I think that what other people would be taking away, and I'll give you my personal experience, my personal opinion here, but I think what you should be taking away is experiencing the Tuscan culture, the landscape, the people, more importantly, and taking away a Vespaing experience, right?
Yeah.
You know, you're on the Vespa every day that you're there, and you're Vespaing to on Italian roads, right? Which not everybody's used to, but we always had you that was guiding us. And even when we were with the club, you know, they were closing down streets, so we didn't have to wait for traffic. It was, you know, it was very controlled, and that was one of the things that I think that everybody should take away. But for me, um, yeah, the biggest takeaway was just I think my favorite experience and that I will always have is me on a Vespa driving through the hills of Tuscany, you know, with the landscape in the background, sun on your face, and just saying, wow, I'm here. This is happening. Excuse me, this is happening.
Sounds like a beautiful postcard.
Right. And that was one of the things, that was my biggest takeaway. Um, it's unlike any other experience I've had.
Good.
You know?
So you would say, like, to someone that said it, I think it was Hillary, she said, I've been to Tuscany many times, and this is hands down the best way to see it.
Yeah. I mean, I've been to different parts of Italy. I've never been to Tuscany itself. I'm sorry, most parts of Tuscany. I've been to Florence, which I spent a couple of days in prior to this, but I've never been to the other parts of Tuscany. You know, I've never been to Poggibonsi, and Poggibonsi, I think, was a fun little town, you know, which I got to experience as well. We all did. But when you're experiencing it that way, you know, it would have been different had I rented a car and guys gone to different places. It's just a different experience. It's fun, adventurous, breathtaking. You know, like I just mentioned, the way that you just realize that was. And you know what the funny thing is, I mentioned one specific point that I thought that, but actually there was many points where I thought that on the Vespa and we were riding around. So yeah, I think that's what my biggest takeaway from the trip was just asking myself, wow, I can't believe I'm here, kind of thing, you know.
That's amazing. That's really like what I want travelers to take away from it is just like what an incredible investment of time can it be and how that can change your mindset of
Yeah.
traveling,
Yeah.
within different way of doing it,
Yeah.
So now,
Yeah.
yeah,
Agreed. Yeah.
yes. Would you do another Vesping around in another region? Like, would you feel compelled to like do another trip on two
Yeah.
wheels in another
For sure.
region?
I mean, 1,000%. I would love to do it again. Um, I would do it again in Tuscany, to be honest with you.
That's
but
amazing.
Yeah.
A repeat.
Yeah. I mean, I would do. I mean, it was fun. Like I said, it was a great experience, and yeah, I would totally do it in other parts of Italy or even outside of the country, of Italy. So
Maybe do an international.
yeah, I mean, who knows?
Right.
But yeah, I would definitely do it again, 1,000%. I also, would love to see, like I think you had mentioned something about Puglia, and
Yep.
I would love to do something like that as well.
Puglia.
But again, Tuscany, great. I'd do it again. But yeah, of course, I would definitely
Awesome.
be into doing it again somewhere else as well.
Awesome. And someone who traveled across Italy extensively, I can tell you that I had the same the same sentiment as you every time I visit one region. So every
Right.
region that I would visit, I would say, "Oh my God, this is the best one so far." And then I would go to another region, to another setting, and I'll be like, "Oh no, wait, this is the best one." And so,
Right.
I can't wait to like show and experience,
Right.
every region with like different people
Yeah.
and
One
give
thousand
this,
percent.
yeah. All right, I think I'm gonna close it here.
Okay.
I want to really thank you for relating the experience to me, but especially to anyone who's gonna listen.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
You're
For
welcome.
our listeners,
My
if
pleasure.
you're feeling inspired, stay tuned because in our next episodes we will keep diving into more hidden gems, more Vesping around lifestyle, and you don't want to miss that. Until then, keep the spirit of adventure alive, and as always, keep on Vesping.